Hello, this is the Aintree 2021 Grand National Rundown. I'm doing this, if you don't know me, my name's Andy. One of the names I go by anyway. If you don't know about this is something that we do every year. A lot of people ask me, because of my interest in horse racing throughout the year, what are my fancies for Aintree? So the last few years, we've put down runners and riders for every day of the festival, as we do for Cheltenham as well. And people don't have to keep asking me, and I don't have to keep replying to them. But obviously the big one, the Grand National, is one that everyone wants to know about. And obviously if you can get your money on a week before or a few days before the race, you might get a better price. You might get some insight to some of the horses that are running. That's what we hope to do today. One of the reasons that we're doing this, or the biggest reason that we're doing this, is for the Bridge Community Centre in Norris Green, and we're doing that for Sue Benson-Carson. Sue and her team of volunteers run a centre there that has an open door policy for anyone in the community, or anyone from anywhere really, that can make it to the bridge. She will always point you in the right direction, the right services. She really is a community triage for any number of people who are vulnerable, the elderly, the infirm, those who haven't got somewhere to live, those who are in crisis. And they are a fantastic community resource, completely funded through their own fundraising. So we like to do something every year for Sue. We have a Grand National sweepstake, and we're going to add to it this year. And if you feel that the information that you get today is worthwhile, maybe you can make a donation towards Sue and her targets of fundraising while the pandemic is on. They still have to pay rent on the centre. As I say, they don't receive any income from anywhere. So it's a huge challenge for them to maintain something that's going to be vitally important as we move out of this pandemic as well, for people, particularly those who are very vulnerable. So whatever we can earn goes towards them. It's not for me, it's not about me, it's just my knowledge. I'm doing this. I'm putting my hand in my pocket as well. We've already raised £500 for the Bridge Community Centre already from our sweepstake. There's still horses available, and if you're interested in that, PM me and I will get you one. We'll get you involved in that. You can also buy horses for the Bridge Community Centre if you like to in that sweepstake. So the horses are running for the bridge. If they win, they get the money for that as well. Anyway, let's get down to these runners and riders for the Grand National, shall we? Aintree 2021. Now, if you don't know, I go to Aintree every year, and I've done for the last 20-odd years, all 3 days. I love Aintree. It's fantastic. I love horse racing. My wife and I go. I get to drink and gamble with the wife's blessing, and she comes with me and enjoys it too. We spend a lot of money in Liverpool, and I don't want to forget those fantastic hospitality places in Liverpool, the pubs, the clubs, the restaurants and the hotels that should be doing very well at this time of year, and unfortunately this year and last year won't be able to. So we need to get out there and support them as well at the end of this. So don't forget that too. Okay, top of the shop. First in the Grand National, we're going to do these in race card order and discuss each horse as we go through the card, and then a few more just at the end, and just to remind you where you can make any donations that you might wish to the Bridge Community Centre. So top of the shop, top weight in this, and this is a handicap. Handicaps are races where the horses carry different weights. Now, generally the horses at the top of the handicap, the first 4, 5, 6, 7, the Grand National, the first 10, are supposed to be the better horses, and they carry more weight, so it drops the chances that they would have, so it makes it an even playing field. SANTINI is supposedly the best horse in the field. It's top of the handicap. The handicap is allotted in 11 stone 10 pounds. That's a lot of weight to carry around the national. This horse hasn't really shown a lot of form. He pulled up in the Gold Cup at Cheltenham as well. He really wasn't going so well. He's got a nice age profile. He's 9 years old. It's a nice age for a national winner. But at 25 to 1, I don't really see him running even into a place with that kind of weight. He may not even line up. Let's wait and see. Okay, after SANTINI, then the next one we're going to look at is Bristol Demine. Now, this is a super horse, has done very, very well in handicaps over the last few years, and would be a good national type. However, 11 stone 10 pounds. It's a lot of weight to carry around, and this horse ideally I think would want some cut underfoot. He'd want softer going on good ground. I can see him possibly holding on to a place. Yeah, he'll get into a nice rhythm, and he's going to be on the front end. Probably going to be ridden by Darryl Jacob, I would expect, unless Darryl gets chopped off somewhere else. But yeah, I think Bristol Demine could run a good race with a big weight, but I don't see him winning. The Storyteller. Now, this is a horse I really liked the last few years. I've followed him since he was a 7-year-old. He's now 10 years old. And I've always thought that he would be a national type. He was with Gordon Richards, but obviously with the situation with Gordon at the moment, he's now come to Denise Foster. This horse will be staying on at the end, and he will be picking off the horses who are getting tired. I can guarantee that. I can see this horse running into a place, even with 11 stone, 8 pound. I don't think he'll win, but I certainly see him running into a place, and at 20 to 1, he's definitely worth your each way money. Chris's Dream, a horse that's not really been in form. He ran at Cheltenham a few weeks ago and was pulled up. Henry de BROMHEAD had a fantastic Cheltenham. This horse didn't really fire for him. For me, he's not in the kind of form that you would want going into a national. 11.7's enough weight for a 9-year-old as well. So not one for me. YALA, another horse that really wants a lot of cut underfoot. He wants soft going, really. Another horse, again, who's done very, very well and made a name for himself in staying handicaps across the country. He's a horse that will be on the front end as well, just like Bristol Demai. Those kind of horses will take us along. They might find it difficult if they get a challenge for a horse that goes on good ground that wants to take them along as well. And they could find out that the horses are getting tired as the race progresses. These horses that like softer going. They're plodders rather than finishers. So again, I don't really see him winning it. 11 stone 3. If it comes up soft, even on the good side of soft, I could see him holding on for a place. But not for me. Ballyoptic, another horse I followed for a few years, I thought would have a good chance in staying handicaps. He ran 2 years ago, finished well down the field in the Aintree Grand National, I think. He ran a couple of years ago over the, I think it was the Betcher Chase, I think, and he finished 11th of 18th. Hasn't really fired at Aintree, and at 50 to 1, that's a fair price. Don't see him getting into the places at all. Definitely Red was another horse, went off favourite a few years ago. Brian Ellison trains, 11 stone, 1 pound. Not a bad weight to carry around a national if you're a decent horse. And this horse definitely is. He's 12-year-old now, so he's kind of really in the veteran stage of his career. This is really his last chance, I would think. But again, if they don't go too fast, I can see him staying into a place at the end. You might surprise a few people, definitely Red. BURROWS Saint. Now, this horse has been fancied since he won the Irish National, I think. It's a good route into running the Grand National, a good trial, if you like. 10 stone 13. He runs for the famous Willie Mullins, one of my favourite trainers. Big fan of Willie and his horses. He carries the Rich Ritchie colours. Rich Ritchie, an American merchant banker, used to work for Barclays. And not that that has anything to do with the fact that his horse is half decent. This horse should go well. He goes mainly in heavy ground, but as an 8-year-old, for me, he's probably come to this a little bit too soon. I don't see an 8-year-old carrying that kind of weight winning a national. 12 to 1, you'll probably have the stable jockey Paul Townsend on him. That might be notable. That might be notable. If Paul's on him and he runs, then that might be something to take note of. He could run into a place too. Magic of Light, the mare, Jessie Harrington's horse, ran on, finished second a few years ago to Tiger Roll. This horse, I think, could go very well. I think she likes Aintree. She gets round. Robbie Power will probably ride, I think, because he knows the mare very well. She comes into it in reasonable form as well. Although she hasn't had the distances that I would like to see in a national preparation, I think she could go well. I mean, she's proven over the course, and if Jessie will have her right, there's no question about if. Jessie Harrington will have her right for this. I can see her running very, very well. And hey, this is the year of the girls, isn't it, ladies? Hey, Rachel Blackmore was the top jockey at Cheltenham. Maybe Magic of Light could be the top horse at the Grand National. I don't know. It won't be one I'm backing, but I wouldn't be surprised if she runs very, very well. ACAPELLA Bourgeois, another one for Willie Mullins, 10 stone 12. This is a horse I'm on. Yeah, I like this horse. Again, I'm not sure whether Paul Townsend or Danny Mullins is going to ride this horse. He's 11-year-old, so it's a nice age. He's I like my national runners or winners to be between 9 and 11-year-old. He's probably got a little bit more weight than I would like, but that's because he's a class horse. His racing post rating is probably £3 higher than what he's got in the national here, so there could be something in that. He hasn't run at Aintree before, so that's the unknown, but I can see him going very, very well, and I'd be very confident at price. I'm on him at 33s. He's supposedly 25 to 1 now. Talk is cheap, Alan King's horse. Not one that I would have an awful lot of faith in myself. He ran over the flat at the beginning of the season. So he's had a flat run, then a 2-mile run, and then a 3-mile run. Is that the kind of preparation for a national? I don't know. Alan King knows better than me. But for me, he's not the kind of horse that I would be taking on, even at 9-year-old. 50-1, I think, signifies the kind of chance that he's got. I don't see him taking a place. Number 13, Tue Permis. This is the first of our Gigginstown horses that we're going to look at. Runs for Noel Mead out in Ratoath in County Meath, in a place I know very, very well. Used to run into all of Noel's stable lads when I used to live near Navan in County Meath. This horse fell on his last time out, and he was 4th of 5 to ACAPELLA Bourgeois at Fairyhouse in February. He's not really in the kind of form that you would want going into a national, so I think we can skip past him. ANIBALE Fly, another of those seasoned handicappers, the stayers that we like. Runs for Tony Martin, 10 stone 12. This horse has gone so well in the national in the past, and I wouldn't be surprised again if he runs on and stays on into a place. He's got a very good chance of running to a place. I don't see him winning at this stage of his career. He's 11 years old. He's got a lot of miles on the clock, but he could spring a surprise on us, a bit like Amberley House did a few years ago. Mr. Malarkey runs for Colin TIZZARD. Now, this could be an interesting horse. Solid form over 3-mile and 3-mile, just over 3-mile. He's been prepared. He's going to have the stamina, you would think, for this. It's an extra 1.5 miles. But I think horses that if they'll stay 3 miles, they'll usually go a little bit further as well. It just depends how fast he goes, where he settles into the race, and you know, whether he's on the front end. I don't really know an awful lot more about the horse, to be honest, than that, but he seems to be a decent type. 8 years old. Again, it's probably come a bit too soon for him with the kind of weight that he's got this time round. So not one that I'll be backing, but I wouldn't be surprised if he runs well. KIMBERLITE Candy, this is a horse, the first of JP's horses, JP McManus, legendary bookmaker, backer, owner, great guy, apart from the fact he's a Man United fan. 10 stone, 10 pound, runs for Tom Lacey. Very, very good horse, ran very well in 2019 till he was pulled up, and has finished second in the Betcha Taste twice. He can go over these fences. What would we say about his preparation? Well, he's gone over 3-mile 2 and 3-mile 5 in preparation for this. I think this horse could go very, very well. I wouldn't be surprised if he runs into a place at all with 10 stone, 10 pound on his back, if he gets a clear run. Beware the Bear, another seasoned handicapper for the staying chases. Another one that really wants it very soft underfoot. Runs for Nicky Henderson. I don't see him getting a place in the national. I really don't, unfortunately. He's another one that might be on the front end, might run in a bit fits and spurts, I would think. But a lot will depend on how far behind he is and whether he gets impeded. Pim, this one I think we can write off straight away. I'm not sure this one will even line up by next weekend. Nicky Henderson's horse, just beaten out of sight against Vintage Clouds in the middle of March at Cheltenham. Prior to that, in November, he doesn't really have great form. He did run well over 3 miles at Sandown in November. Nico de Daneville Road him, but at 50-1, you would think Nico probably won't be on him come the Grand National, and I'm not sure he'll line up. Any second now, this is Ted Walsh's horse, second favourite for the National. Who am I? Ted Walsh, what a pedigree that family has. Ted, Ruby, Katie, Mark may well ride this one. Another one of JP's. He's going to carry the red cap on JP's colours here. Going to have a good chance, but for me, again, another one with a slightly unusual kind of preparation. Ran over 3 miles in heavy ground at Gowran Park in the Thyestes and was pulled up. His next run then was in 2 miles on the heavy, where he won. So jumping into a 4.5 mile in the national, for me as a punter, I've got question marks about that. But he's 10-1. Someone fancies him. Maybe it's JP. I don't know. There might be something significant in that. If there's a big plunge on him on National Day or a few days before. But for me, I think I would prefer the 2 runners, Kimberlite Candy. Balco de Flo, another Gigginstown horse. Michael O'Leary, who owns Ryanair. Again, good horse, and I thought would do very well at Cheltenham, but he unseated in the Glenfarclas cross country Tiger Roll one. Has been running over reasonable sort of distances. 2 mile 4 was probably too short for him. 3 miles at the beginning of the season was probably a reasonable sort of distance for him. He's been beaten by the Storyteller twice this year. he'd probably 33 to 1. He'd probably be bigger on the day, I would think. But I don't see him running into a place. Alpha Days Oboe, another gig into town, may not even line up. He's going to be with Denise Foster again, another one that's been taken from Gordon Elliott. Pulled up twice behind the big dog. It'll be interesting to see how the big dog runs in the Irish National on Monday. He was beaten in the cross country into fourth place, sorry, in the cross country at Cheltenham. But yeah, again, another one I don't really see him staying on into places. Brahma Bull, Willie Mullins. Of all of his runners, this is the one I would just draw a line to. I don't really see it. 10-year-old, pulled up in the Goffs Estes. There's nothing there. He unseated before that. A Tremor behind Alboom Photo. He doesn't really have the kind of form or profile, I think, that I would be looking for at Aintree. So I'll draw a line through that one. Okay, CORRAL, another one of JP's. This time runs for Nicky Henderson. Been running very well and chases up to 3 miles. Pulled up behind Vintage Clouds again at Cheltenham. Not great preparation for that. But we previously finished first at Doncaster, but that was last year. That was a big break before his Cheltenham run. He pulled up at Cheltenham to go into 4.5 miles at Aintree. Not sure. Might not even line up. Let's see what happens. But for me, again, another one I would skip past. Taking risks, you might well be with this one. Ran in January at Doncaster, over 3 miles in the soft, and won 40 to 1. Sean Quinlan rode him. Big gamble that you take if you back this fella. He could go well. He's 12 years old. It really depends on how fast they go, I think, for this horse. If it becomes something of a bit of a plod, he could well be staying in with a reasonable sort of weight of 10 stone 11. He could run well at a big price. Shattered Love. This is one I backed in the Glenfarclas at Cheltenham. It wasn't the Glenfarclas, sorry. He was in the one that Colreevy won on the Friday in the Ryanair Chase. Sorry, last year he finished 6th. He runs reasonably well. Again, 10-year-old carrying 10 stone 7, reasonable sort of profile. But this year he's run over 2 miles, 2 miles 4. Not really the kind of preparation I'd want to be going into 4 mile 4. He may not even line up. Let's see what happens, but not one for me. Not in the National. Now, this is a really interesting one, a Jet from Jesse Harrington again. This horse, although it's not having a great season this year, is really, really interesting. 10-year-old gets in on a really nice weight. Like I said before, Jesse will have the horses going absolutely superb. He has pulled up already this season, which is why I've skipped past him on my selections, but I would not be surprised with him going round very, very well. He only run over the Betcher in December. And he can get over those fences. So let's see what happens with this one. That could be a surprise, Jet. The Jam Man for Ronan McNally. This is another good handicapper. I don't know whether he's quite got what it takes to run into a place in the National at the moment. He's 8 years old, gets in on 10 stone 6, 10 stone 7. He's not a bad horse. He's been beaten by Roaring Bull. If I can't have Roaring Bull, then I can't see the Jam Man getting in either. So let's see what happens with that one, but not for me. Lord de Menil, this one, Richard Hobson's horse, has won very well at Haydock already this year, and ran well at Aintree as well in the Grand National trial, although he was beaten into 9th out of 18 against Bow Bay. 2 mile 5 furlong that day, but has gone well over 3 miles 6 and 3 miles 4, which he won on at Haydock. Remember, Haydock has that nice long slope to run up at the end, so if you win well over 3 mile 4 at Haydock, I can see you running very well over 4 miles at Aintree. Again, a long distance chaser. If he gets over the fences and can get round, I can see him run into a place. He's only 8 years old. So he's up against horses who've got experience in national running and different types of nationals, Scottish National, Kerry Nationals, Irish Nationals, and so on. But I think he's one to watch. If he doesn't go in this year, he could be a good one for next year. But of course, next year, he's going to have a higher handicap mark. Potter's Corner, that should say, not Potter's Corner, but Potter's Corner. Christian Williams, 10 stone 6. This one won the Midlands Grand National in March and the Welsh National in September. So he has a national pedigree. You would have to say usually the Welsh Grand National is running bottomless ground. Does he want really bottomless ground, soft ground? It certainly you would think so. Of the horses that want bottomless ground or really, really soft ground, if it came up that way next Saturday, he's possibly the one I would be on, probably ahead of the likes of Bristol Demai and YALA Enki. Potter's Corner's got the better weight. He will stay all day. He's proven over national distances, but did pull up last time at Exeter on the 14th of February. So not the greatest profile. And normally that pulled up would be one I would draw a line through. If you pulled up in previous races in the season, I'm asking why. So for me, he's not on the cards unless it comes up really, really soft. Class Conti, another one for Willie Mullins. This one has run reasonably well, again, over 3 miles, maybe just over 3 miles as well. Came third in the Fiestes at Garden in January. Do I see him winning? He's 9 years old, 10 stone 6. We'll see what happens. Apart from that third place, he doesn't really have a lot of that would recommend him to me. But again, we'll see what happens. He pulled up in December. I don't really see him running into a place, but he could. He could. Milan Native, another one from the Gigginstown colours. It's gone to Diane Foster from Gordon Elliott. 25 to 1. Only been chasing for one season. That alone, at 10-year-old, even with his weight, would make me want to think he's not one for a national, not one I would put a lot of faith in. I think to win a national or to get placed in a national, you probably need at least two seasons chasing under your belt. These are big fences. You need to get into a rhythm, and I think it takes horses a while to adjust to that kind of race. 2032, this is one I've heard a good word for in Ireland. Discorama runs for Paul Nolan. A lot of very shrewd people put money on this horse. A lot of people like him as well. For me, he's a little bit young. He's an 8-year-old again. But he's another one that falls into that category because he's 8, he's got a low weight. Next year, he'll probably be out of it because he's got too much weight. So he's one, again, that I could see that would run into a place. Do I see him winning? No. But I certainly feel, again, another one that could be carrying some good each-way money for people. Vieux de Lion Rouge. Now, this horse really has a pedigree around the fences at Aintree. He ran well and he won at Aintree in December in the Betcha. He actually beat Kimberlite Candy. Do I see him winning the Grand National this year? No. He's 12-year-old. His price probably reflects the chances that he's got. But I can, again, see him staying into a place. He run very, very well. He knows the course. Yeah, horses for courses. And Vieux Lion Rouge is one of them. He would carry some good each-way money at 40 to 1. Cloth Cap, now this is the favourite. This horse, when he won first time out this year, away back at Newbury in November, I thought this would be a national type horse for me. Now, John Joe's been very shrewd. The next time he ran him was after his handicap mark had been allotted for the national. This horse now, if he was run under his true handicap mark, I think would be 14 or 16 pound higher. So he is very well handicapped. That's what we say about horses who are below where they should be in the handicap. We know that. He'll run at the front end as well. He will run very, very well. Trevor Hemmings is the owner, of course, who has had lots of Grand National success with Hedgehunter, Ballyoptic. He will run very well. Will he win? It's a very short price for a national. You really have to be a class horse. Everything he's done so far has been right. He's a worthy favourite. It will be interesting to see whether he has the pace at the end of the race at 4 Mile 4 to see off some of those finishes. And there will be finishes, believe you me, it's a national. Cabaret Queen, Willie Mullins, 50 to 1. Won the Kerry National back in September. Maybe that's her time of year. Maybe the spring probably isn't the time that she prefers to run. She's probably an autumn horse, and that's why she won the Kerry National. She was pulled up at Cheltenham last time, so for that reason, I'm drawing a line through her. Minella Celebration belongs to Katie Price, not that Katie Price, but another Katie Price. 10 stone 5. Again, very experienced around Aintree. 6 times she's been round. But yeah, you know, unseated twice. And 7 of 11th at Kempton in January. Not really the kind of form at 11-year-old that you'd want to be going into an Aintree Grand National. So I'll put a line through her as well. Canelo, another JP runner, this time for Alan King, has a good chance, 33 to 1. He's only 8 years old again, so he falls outside that kind of profile, but he's got good form over 3 miles so far this year. Certainly since December, he's had 3 runs at 3 miles and 3 miles 2 since Christmas. So he's got fitness on his side. And if he gets over these fences well, he will run on for a place. He's been jumping very, very well. He's never pulled up or unseated, which bodes very, very well. The distance is what will tell us a bit more about Canelo. But at 10 stone 4, he's definitely worth a few quid each way. The long mile, not the long mile, but the long mile, Jay Dempsey, the long mile. Again, this is a JP runner. He's only 7 years old. His form going into this isn't fantastic. He's been beaten by the likes of ACAPELLA Bourgeois before he gets here. 7-year-old, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to get into the race, into the places, and to win the race with 10 stone 4 on his back. Give me a copper, Paul Nicholls, another seasoned handicapper that's run. He came here, came in 2019 instead of the Gold Cup where he was placed 4th. He's had some wind surgery and come back this year. Pulled up at Doncaster at the end of January. So for me, that's a no-no. Although he's got a good chance, he's a seasoned handicapper. He gets in at a low weight. For me, he's not one that I'll be looking at. And bottom of the class at the moment, or bottom of the handicap at the moment, not bottom of the class, bottom of the handicap at the moment is Far Class. This horse ran at Cheltenham as well, was second to the shunter, over 2.5 miles. Ran reasonably well, but again, his preparation for me is more at the 2.5 to 3 miles, and that kind of worries me going into a 4.5 mile handicap chase at Aintree over those fences. Again, won't be one for me. Now, that's the 40. There's some reserves here from 41 down to 50 that we need to look at, because come Grand National Day, some of these horses will be may well line up in the National. And you can see them here. Manila Times, another JP runner for Henry de Bromhead, who's having a great season. An 8-year-old on 10.3. He's going to be a fancied runner. KIMBERLITE Candy, any second now. Manila Times. JP's going to have a very, very good chance this year of pulling off the win. This horse is only an 8-year-old, though. Again, 8-year-olds, I kind of just have a question mark over the experience at that age. But if he gets round, again, if he gets in, and I'm sure he will at 41, he will be running. There are a few tips around for him, so the Manila Times could be a good one. Sub-Lieutenant at 12-year-old, used to be, again, a good handicapper, has some reasonable form figures in preparation for this. 100 to 1 probably signifies his chance. Much the same with Hogan's Delight and Double Shuffle. The one I do like just outside, the one I've got a few quid on myself, 100 to 1, I've got it 150 to 1, is Ami Dubois. Again, this horse is going to get through on an absolute featherweight. Does she have the class of the horse at the top of the handicap? No. But on a heavyweight and a horse that runs consistently well at over 3 miles, this horse will spring some surprise. I can see her run into a place, 150 to 1. A quarter the odds, my goodness, you're getting a great price on that horse. You got some good each way money. I'm on Ami Dubois if she gets in. She also has good form this year. She's finished twice already. Black Lion, I think his chance has gone. He's 12-year-old. His best years are behind him. Some Neck at 66 to 1 again. And Secret Reprieve, although some tips around for it. Evan Williams' horse at 10 to 1, 10 stone 1. He's a 7-year-old, so probably a little bit young for me if you're going to be backing it as a national horse. So there's the reserves. Of all of those, as I say, Manila Times and Ami Dubois are the ones I'll be really, really interested in if they get in. I'm sure both of them will get into the national by next week. There will probably be 5 horses there that will scratch before then. So, what do I look for when I'm looking for a national runner? I'm always looking for horses that tend to race up with the pace at the front of the race all the way round. The reason for that is that if there are fallers, then they're out of the way and they're not going to be impeded. I mean, if you're impeded by a horse in the national, that can ruin your chances. It'll take 4 or 5 lengths out of you wherever you've been impeded, and it can put you out of the race. And it's happened in the past to me with horses that I've backed. So yeah, I look for horses that are at the front end of the race. I'm looking for horses that haven't pulled up or fallen this season. I need horses to be able to jump and who've got stamina to get round. So I'm looking for that as well. I'm also looking for horses who run consistently at 3 miles or over, preferably over 3 miles, and who jump well. And the profile I kind of look for is 9 to 11-year-olds. So if they fall out of that, I usually put a line through them. And then usually I'm left with a selection of horses that I choose from. And then, of course, the most important thing is the going on the day. We like good ground for the Grand National, but of course, if it does come up soft next week, you need to be looking at soft ground horses because they're the ones that will go on the ground. It's going to be stamina sapping anyway. If you've got a horse that doesn't go on soft ground, they're going to be finished by probably 2.5 miles. But yeah, take into account the going. You probably know by Wednesday night or Thursday what the going's going to be for the National, and you have an idea of exactly where your money needs to go. So my selections, well, you won't be surprised this one. The favourite Cloth Cap, I think, is very well handicapped. I think John Joe's done very, very well and been very shrewd about getting him in where he does on a lower handicap mark than he should have. I've told you my money is on ACAPELLA Bourgeois. I can also see Kimberlite Candy. I'll probably have a couple of quid each way on that too. And I've got some nice each way money on the Ami Dubois. I think she'll get in. I think she's going to spring some surprises. You should be looking for a bookmaker that's paying up to 6 places. Most of them will for the National, but make sure you get a quarter odds for that, not a fifth. You want a quarter odds if you can find it. Some of the bigger bookmakers, Bet365 are good. Boyle Sports, Paddy Power, with William Hill, you can choose them. They all have offers, so if you haven't got an online account, use up those offers and get them in. Make sure you get some free bets with it. If you're backing a horse, you want to be backing each way. If you're below 5 to 1, I would say in the National, you're crazy if you're not backing each way anyway. 40 runners looking for one place and putting all your eggs in one basket by backing on the nose is just crazy. So with the exception of Cloth Cap, who's just too short to back each way, everything else needs to be backed each way. You must back each way for the National. You have to. You're crazy if you don't. And the most important thing, of course, is that horses and jockeys come home safely. That's the most important thing. We'll have great fun on the National, but it's no fun when you find out the horse that you've backed has had a serious injury or worse, or that people have ended up in hospital with life-changing injuries because they've fallen as well or been stood on. So we want everyone to come back safe in the National. It's the most important thing. And of course, as I say, if you can help, we're doing this and we do it every year. The Grand National Sweepstake for the Bridge Community Centre. If you want a horse in that or you want to buy a horse for the Bridge, get in contact with me, PM me, and I will put you in touch with, I'll get that sorted out for you. I'll get you a horse and put you in touch with a live draw as well. The Bridge is all about supporting the elderly, the vulnerable, the disabled, the disadvantaged in Norris Green and Liverpool, but it really is open. You can find the Bridge Centre on Facebook there. There's the link. They're in Daneville Road in Liverpool 4. You can contact the centre if you want to drop in and see them at some time when this pandemic's open and they're open again. And we've got this Just Giving link. So as I said before, if you think this information's been interesting, if you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have, I hope it's been insightful in some way. And if you win anything because of what you've learned here, or before any of the tips that I will put out every day on my social media and my professional networks as well for people, so they're not bombarding me saying, Andy, what do you fancy today? I'll just put it all out there. And if you get anything, you make any money, go to that GoFunding, Just Giving site, the crowdfunding, and give some money to the Bridge Community Centre because they do a fantastic job. And that's it. Enjoy the race. Good luck. And I hope you have some winners. But remember the Bridge Community Centre if you do. Good luck, everyone.